Welcome to Beyond the Frontline podcast, where your host, U.S. Air Force veteran Donna Hoffmeyer, will help you transition from the front line to the home front. Listen every other Wednesday as we'll bring great conversations, resources, tips, and feel-good stories that will resonate and relate. Now, here's your host, Donna Hoffmeyer.
Hey everyone, it's Donna with another wonderful week at Beyond the Front Line. And this week we're going rock climbing. So we're going to talk about, we talk about this a lot. Everybody has a why. When you see these nonprofits, and in the US, I think there's something like over 44,000 veteran-focused nonprofits, right? Staggering number. And when you see that, my first question is like, why did they start, right? People don't just randomly start because I want to start a nonprofit. Because anybody that's running nonprofits, they're just laughing and shaking their head, right? Because there's a lot to it. So when I find all these people doing these really cool things, I want to know about what they're doing. I want to know their why. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And so this week we are talking with Dana and Luke. Please don't let me screw it up. Stricevic. Did I nail it?
Nailed it.
No, Stricevic.
See, I knew I was going to. I meant to ask before too. I'm like, damn it, I'm going to screw it up. Wait, say it again.
I give that answer anytime somebody.
Stricevic.
Stricevic.
Yeah.
Whatever it sounds like.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, it's always like, yes, nailed it.
Uh-huh.
I should have done that. My maiden name is Boulogne, and in French it's Belouin. And let me assure you, I get all kinds of names like Belware and like all kinds of stuff. So I'm laughing like, oh, wow. All right. Well, let's go back to what we're doing here. So we're going to talk to Dana and Luke today about the nonprofit they started, Crux Wilderness, why they started it, and what they're doing now. So welcome, you guys. Sorry I slaughtered your name.
All good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm like really excited. I'm from New Hampshire, and there's a lot of rock climbing that goes on out there too. I have a cousin that she's an avid rock climber, so shout out to my cousin Julie there. But she loves rock climbing, and so I thought this was really cool. So I'm just gonna let you guys start from kind of the beginning on how this started. And Luke, you were a Marine, and you had told me that's kind of where it started for you. So we can start there, and then we can talk with Dana and kind of how you guys brought it together and where you're at now.
Sure. Yeah. So I got out of the Marine Corps in 2012. And like most veterans, had a bit of a rocky transition, kind of getting into the groove of civilian life. And something that really stuck out as quite helpful for me is kind of like finding some purpose in my hobbies, doing a lot of different stuff like mountain biking and snowboarding and rock climbing. I took to rock climbing quite a bit. It was a pretty exciting kind of full on kind of identity building through rock climbing, getting out and transitioning. And after doing it for a couple of years, decided that, it might be a good option to take it on as a career. So did some schooling, and then eventually went and got some certifications for being a guide. And right after that, I had kind of got the idea that I wanted to work with other veterans to kind of do the same thing. It was so, monumental in helping me transition that I wanted to work with a company that was maybe doing the same thing. So looked for some other guiding companies that were working with veteran specific, and realized that there wasn't really an option out there. There's a couple other companies like Wounded Warrior, Project Odyssey that were doing one or two a year, but that wasn't quite enough in my opinion. So Dana actually got the idea of why don't we start our own. And that was kind of the spark that got Crux off the deck, was that idea.
What did it do for you? What was rock climbing? Because I always associate that with like we're all in the military, we're all adrenaline junkies on some level. And
Right.
then when we're coming out, then we hear the same thing over and over, right? Like, oh, it was really tough. I lost my value. I lost my purpose. I wasn't the go-to person. I didn't have that high anymore, et cetera, et cetera. And so what was it for you that in rock climbing that kind of clicked for you to help you with your transition?
Yeah, totally. So it's interesting that you bring up like the adrenaline junkie kind of side of it, because in my opinion, rock climbing doesn't have that much adrenaline. Like it's not like an adrenaline packed sport where it's like
Right.
it's very much like an uphill kind of sport, right? I mean the epitome of uphill, right? You're vertically climbing upwards. So it's kind of like a slow, methodical grind. And it's
Yeah.
not if adrenaline starts coming in, then like you did something wrong. And the idea is to stay away from the adrenaline, keep calm and stuff, which parallels really well with kind of like military service, right? It's like calm, cool, collected actions and decision making keep the mission going forward. The like I said, like the parallels between kind of military service and like combat, especially even, is to climbing is it's incredible. Like the amount of kind of purpose you feel climbing, where you have your objective, and then you don't just like show up one day like, oh, I'm gonna go climb that thing. It's like a week, 2 weeks, 6 months before the actual climb. There's planning stages. There's logistics to go over. How long is this going to take us? How do we get there? How do we get back? What gear do we need to bring? How long are we going to be out there?
Physical aspects to it.
Yeah, totally. The physical aspect of like, what can we actually do? And normally when we're climbing, it's always an uncertainty of like, are we going to complete this mission or not? And that's part of the fun of climbing is you're not going out every time and doing something that you know you can do, because that's going to start taking away that kind of takes away a lot of the fun and excitement of it. Is that like we need this like right on the realm of uncertainty to kind of play in. It's like, can we make it? Probably. Will we? We don't know, but we're going to give it our best and go and try to do this thing.
It's kind of like, would you equate it to planning a mission?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
Because, like the parallels between the two are they feel identical sometimes. It's like we have this plan that we're sticking together. We have plan A, B, and C. Like what are the contingencies? What can go wrong? What can go right? And like the whole process of it is just all consuming, and it feels very similar to kind of like the value that you put into like missions in the military was a very similar thing of like, this is all that matters in the time being.
Yeah.
And it really does feel like that when you're actually climbing, like everything strips away and it's just that mission that you're thinking of, just that climb. Like you have no idea what any other personal issues you have going on until the climb is over. It's all encompassing. It takes every little bit of you.
Well, like when you're climbing, you're thinking of what's in front of you right there and what's like ahead on the wall, but you're kind of like able to block out some of the other stuff that's going on. So it takes a lot of like you said, just mental, it takes a mental load off of kind of whatever else is happening in your world. And like, you have to introduce like patience and, grit and perseverance and all that too.
Yeah. That way. Well, it's funny. My husband's a hiker. I mean, like the Camino, AT, like that, the long hike stuff. And I remember when he was he was prepping, he really wanted to go hike somewhere and he was just getting so agitated. I'm like, go, because you're driving me bonkers. So he's prepping for the hike. And one day, like the kitchen scales out and there's like a rope on it. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, I'm weighing it because I only want to bring 15 pounds. And I'm like, you're weighing rope. And it was like not big, heavy rope, like the little small,
Like utility cord.
Yeah. Utility cords. There, I was looking for the word. Yeah. And I'm like, my kitchen scale is getting used more for hiking gear than it was for kitchen stuff. But it was
Yeah.
meticulous, like the food. And he's like, okay, like I can dehydrate some of it. I got him a dehydrator for his birthday. I mean, it was like, you want
Worth
to see
it.
all consuming. It it was all consuming. And
Yeah.
yeah, he went and did the hike, and he was just in heaven, and it settled him down. And they're actually going to do it next year. My son and him our son is gonna go with him. They want to do the whole
Have
thing, the
fun.
whole 500-mile, Camino, which, compared to the AT is pretty chill, but
Have you heard the
still,
term? Have you heard the term ounces make pounds and pounds make pain?
I don't know. So yeah, I just so when my husband was doing the hike, it it did remind me of all how intense it was. It was so consuming for him that it was kind of consuming us. So I was like, we were talking about the food and the dehydrating and am I bringing this? Am I not? And yeah, and then I said he went and did it. Like I said, the Camino, I mean, for all hikers is more, it's very mild, and it comparatively still long. Um, but then when he was looking at the AT, that's like, dehydrating your food and this and that. It was interesting to see how intensive it was. But again, for who he was and what he did, and he was like an air advisor, and there was a lot of mission planning and logistics. It made sense, and he really actually got joy out of the planning. And I was like, "Ooh, yeah, I'm the one that's like Snickers bar, water, let's go." And I would be dead in no time, no problem. I follow you guys. Yeah. But then again, I'm a nurse, and so that we follow a different, we're a little quicker, algorithmic, let's go kind of thing. So yeah, makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. So Dana, when did you come in the picture?
So Luke and I met in 2016. So he had been out for 4 years then, and we were actually roommates back then. Luke asked if I wanted to go climbing, and he really hadn't been climbing at that point. You were back in school, and we started climbing in the gym, and then he got me outside pretty quickly from there. And yeah, I mean, we were working and he was in school, and anytime we weren't doing either of those, we would just plan trips around climbing and camping. So there's a few years of that before Luke decided to go to take some courses. And yeah, I mean, I just got to experience. I came from Chicago, so moving to California and jumping right into rock climbing was, quite the transition for me.
Yeah.
But it was great. I mean, I loved camping. I loved all the places climbing took us, and the challenge, and all the generic cool things about climbing. But what was really, I think, moving for me was really seeing Luke's transition with it. Because I feel like when Luke and I first started climbing, it was more of like the sport, like he liked the gear, and like trying different climbs and grades and whatnot. But then after some time, I felt like it was more of a mental shift. Like he's like, I want to make this like my lifestyle. I want to make this, kind of everything. We just dove headfirst into the sport and YouTube education, and reading all the books and having whatever sessions on our porch, just trying different knots and rescue drills and things like that. And yeah, to your point, like it was kind of all consuming in the best way. I felt like his shift towards the sport was really productive for his mental and physical health, and I was grateful to be a part of that transition as well as his, being his belay partner.
I say you swooned her with a belay, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
That's
Belay
awesome.
partner to fiance at some point, and then yeah.
Well, I was like, wait, you said that before. You're like, yeah, we were roommates. I'm like, how did that go down? Was that like an ad in up on the college board, or like
mutual friend?
Yeah, we had a mutual friend when she was just moving out from Illinois. I had a friend that she knew, and that was like one of her only points of contact in San Diego.
Yeah.
And he had known that I was looking for a roommate, so he was like, "Hey, I have this friend coming from Illinois who's looking for a roommate." And cool, that works out.
Yeah. it was just, yeah, we were both ready to just climb and travel and, you know, do that
Yeah.
thing. And it was really cool. It was quite, quite the experience. And still to, you know, now we have a couple kids and we love, you know, packing them up, and we live in Joshua Tree now. So just getting into the park when we can in the right season and stuff. It's awesome.
You teach the kids to rock climb?
Yeah. We put up a wall in our yard. They love to get on, and say our daughter is more of a boulder at this point, and then our son just likes to hang on the rope and be kind of dragged up and down and float in the air.
Real big on rope swings in the harness.
Yeah.
Oh, that is too funny.
I mean,
See,
at their age, it's kind of like a give and take. Like, I don't want to like push them into the sport like a soccer mom, you know. I kind of want to just as many like good experiences with the ropes involved is like all I can ask for.
So
they develop it. You know,
so smart.
eventually.
So I was a basketball player for like 15 years, and then my daughter, you know, like we don't say anything, and we're like, hey, you got to pick something to play. Like you have to be active. That's the end of the story. So, you know, they're feeling stuff out, and they're all going to everything but. And I was like, oh. And then my daughter is like, I want to play basketball, and I'm like, oh. And then I'm trying to be like all chill.
Calm down, don't be too excited.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we got this. And so I took her out, and I honestly, it was weird because I didn't play a lot around them. Like I kind of, you know, was doing everything else. So I never really brought a basketball out, even though we had a court right here. But I said, come on, let's go out and we'll shoot around. And so I brought her out, and I was just showing her a couple hand skills, you know, and how to get her dribbling better. And then took a couple shots, you know, and she eyes get big and she looks at me and she's like, Mom. And I'm like, what? You didn't tell me you know how to play basketball. And I'm like, yeah, I did. I've always told you that. She goes, no, but I mean, like, you actually know how to play. And I'm like, I played for 15 years. And honestly, that was the end of that. She was like, oh, and because she is the one that's like, I'm going to do it the first time and I'm going to rock it out and be ready for the Olympics. And so she was like seeing somebody that had a skill set, and it crushed her for a while. And so that was it. No more basketball. She went on to volleyball.
Yeah. It's kind of, the climbing is kind of just like embedded into the lifestyle at this point, you know, it's just it's like when we're traveling and stuff, it's right there.
That's good. No, and it's easy. Yeah, exactly. You get to bring it with you. And so what's the, well, actually, let me go back, Dana. So this is kind of a good combo because you're a social worker by trade.
Yeah. I have a master's in social work. So when, Luke and I started climbing, like I was saying, more together, and I started seeing how supportive it was for him and for me as his partner to be, you know, involved in something together like that. You know, what Luke said earlier about looking for another company that was kind of doing this, when we couldn't find it. We just kind of put two and two together. You know, this aspect is, you know, just put it together, and wanted to see how it would play out. And I think in the beginning sorry, 1 second. Yeah, Luca. Okay, I'll check it out in a little bit. Okay. What was I saying with that?
When you started kind of getting involved with the.
Yeah. So when Luke and I started Crux, you know, I would say we started thinking of how this would be a program, and I think ultimately we just kept coming back to what worked for us, and that was strictly just going out and climbing and having the opportunity to do so. And now Luke has his certifications, and you know, he's trained in these settings. We just thought, man, it'd be really cool to just show other veterans how they can do this independently or with their friends and family as well. And just overall sticking to that core of what worked for us, what supported, you know, our mental and physical health, and how that can potentially benefit other people as well.
Well, and I like what you said when we were in the pre-meet. You're like, you know, we were looking at all this, and the bottom line was like, we need to keep it simple. And And that's kind of an important factor because I've seen this where people go to events and it's like sign up for this and then they're like, oh my God, I'm gonna get hit with 300 emails and then
Mhm.
they're selling this and doing that and what about that? And it's like overload, right? They're in overload and they don't take in all of that, right? And so you're like, look, here's a rope. This is how you climb. I'm gonna teach you, and that's all you're gonna do. That's it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't have to have this discussion about what's stressing you out. You don't have to, just because you're a social worker doesn't mean you're going to say, okay, let's have a talk after,
Yeah.
you get it out on the rock, and we all have our ways. Like we had a lot going on this week. It was really stressful. And I was like, I'm stopping everything. I need to go work out. And I like decimated the workout. And I swear to God, I felt like I didn't even break a sweat because I needed the physical. I needed to get out there. And so you
Yeah.
got something like rock climbing, and it's the same idea, right? It's like getting into nature, which is huge. I mean, there's all kinds of science on grounding by itself. And then the climb. And like you had said, Luke, the logistics, the planning, which is all empowerment because they're learning. And then they actually do the climb and then they're successful, however that looks, right? And they were physical, and there you go. Like at the end of it, it's like, there, I accomplished something. Even though it may
Yeah.
had nothing to do with the stressors that were dealing with them, that they accomplished something, and that by itself was enough to kind of settle them down. I think
Definitely,
I think
yeah. It
it's
definitely has all the pieces there to make you feel good about yourself for sure.
yeah, I think that it's profound in its simplicity. You know what I mean? So the name, I love the name of the nonprofit. So it's Crux Wilderness. And
Mhm.
explain to the audience like why you named it Crux, because that has meaning behind it too.
Yeah, so crux is a term that's used commonly in climbing. It's used everywhere else as well, but it refers to the hard part. So a lot of in the climbing world, we'll talk about like the crux of this climb, and it's like a specific move that's like more difficult than the rest. So when we talk about crux, it's kind of a double meaning there, like in the climbing term, and then kind of the hardest part of like transitioning from the military. That hard move, that singular hard move, is something that we're addressing here at Crux.
Yeah, yeah. It's phenomenal. I love it. And honestly, I know there's other rock climbing groups everywhere, but with the intentionality behind it on what you're trying to do for that, for that veteran community, that's the difference, and that's what's most important. So tell me about the nonprofit and how it works and what's offered.
Yeah, sure. So currently we provide up to 4 free rock climbing clinics outdoors to veterans and military members, and those are free. So we have 3 veteran guides, and they're all certified through the AMGA. And they go out and just climb. I mean, we have a couple of specific ones, like anchor building or lead climbing or self-rescue. We did one, it was like photography rigging, and the purpose of those is just to maybe pick up a more specific skill. Otherwise, we offer social climbs, and that's just for everybody to kind of get out there and just climb together. The veterans will meet, the guides will meet anybody where they're at. So you can be a beginner or you could be experienced, an expert, a professional, whatever. If you just want to get out and climb with other veterans, you're welcome to do so. We also provide gear. Yeah, we have permits in San Diego, Joshua Tree, and the Inyo National Forest right now. But yeah, our mission is to provide long-term sustainable strategies to veterans and military members, as well as their families. And that is partaking through rock climbing.
And do
I think I said
you
that kind of off, but
no, you hit it, I think. And then do you guys have not retreats, but you said like the 3-day clinics or
so the clinics are one day, so they're 8 hours, but we do offer summer alpine trips in the Inyo National Forest, and those are multi-day.
okay,
But
there we
other
go.
than that, yeah, other than that, we kind of, again, sticking to what we know, what was supportive for us. I mean, we would be working or we'd be in school. We'd have kind of our home life stuff that we needed to, attend to. But having these free clinics on the weekend, allow veterans to like be with their people in the morning and have coffee and breakfast and then, go climbing and be home for dinner, and kind of check back in with their families and go to work the next day or do whatever, their regular routine looks like. And that's part of that like long-term sustainable strategy that we feel like is able to help transition, to help you like transition more effectively at home.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're able to fit it into your life, like it's not consuming it. It's not, your family's like, great, you found a healthy outlet. We don't see you anymore. It's part of, and you said the families, you have days that the families can come to, or?
Yeah, so we currently offer 3 or 4 family days a year. And basically any of the veteran or military members that are coming out are welcome to bring one guest. And true to mine and Luke's experience, again, just being able to do that with him was really empowering. So we want other, family members to feel the same and to learn the skills, so they can stand next to their partners and have the knowledge and stuff that they need as well.
That's awesome. Goodness. Chronic allergies in Texas. I swear to God, like I keep like dying with it. So I love everything that it does. Do you work with other nonprofits, or how do you engage to get people involved? Do you work with businesses and they sponsor? Do you have, because I think you had mentioned to me you have like private that helps fund this too, like people can do private lessons, or?
So we do have the 4 free clinics a month, and then outside of that, anybody can book a private trip with our veteran guides. So just offers more employment for our guides. And also any of the funds outside of paying the guides just go directly to supporting the free clinics for veterans and military members. And then we do have some clinic sponsors, and those are our Crux members. So you don't have to be a member, but it's just like a small financial, way of supporting the mission. So right now we have 23 members, which is so great. We just started this year, so that's been really nice. And we're almost to a point where our members are going to be covering 2 clinics a month, which would be amazing. And then we also have another sponsor, Garrett O'Neill with Leader One Financial, and he's a business, so he just he like uses it as marketing, his like just a marketing outlet essentially. But it's amazing. I mean, we feel really grateful to have people recognizing the mission and how it's supporting, our veterans and military members. So,
What's the future look like? What is your future goals with Crux?
So we want to offer more clinics for sure. I think expanding, with more permits, new locations. We want to add more guides. Luke just got certified. He's in the process of becoming an SPI provider, which means he'll be able to train and certify other guides. And our hope is that we'll be able to offer scholarships to veterans that are looking to pursue a career in guiding. We did that for actually one of our guides already. And then Crux has supported Luke going to get his certifications as well. So bringing on more veteran guides, and then more work too. So like more private trips, bigger summer alpine objectives.
Yeah, more permitting, more areas, getting into new locations.
Nice.
Expanding the reach of like where we can climb and where we can pull more clients from.
Nice. I had another question here I was thinking about when you were talking about that. So for every location you go to, you have to get permits for is that how that all works? So essentially
there's some that are like bigger than others, like the Inyo National Forest is like a I don't know, 1,200 square mile kind of area that encompasses like 40 something different mountains.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. But then like down in San Diego, we guide in like 4 different areas, and they all take their own permitting system. So each one of like those like land management entities need their own kind of permit.
Oh, wow. That's
So yeah, sometimes it's a little bit more straightforward. Joshua Tree, obviously, that's the national park. So inside the national park, that's all encompassing the whole place. Inyo is the national forest, but then when you get into like the more like metropolitan areas like San Diego, you have all these like individual like land management places that you need to like tick their boxes for them. So it can
yeah.
get a little bit of a rigmarole, but overall, we've got a pretty good feedback from everywhere.
That's good. Do you guys do anything like to help fund like a corporate event? Like if somebody wanted like a team building, go learn to climb a rock kind of. I'm making
Yeah,
that up, but I
definitely.
mean something like that.
Exactly what we call it.
Just like
Yeah,
your last
definitely.
name, Luke.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Gotcha. So that's good. So corporate people could reach out to you and say, "Hey, we'd love to do a team building event," and you guys could provide something like that, depending on the location.
We have programming that is perfect for those kind of things.
Oh, that's perfect. I think that's super awesome. So it's you kind of building this self-sustainable system, where you got
Right.
both sides of it and so when they come do something like corporate building, they're actually helping veterans, you can help more veterans learn rock climbing, which is, therapeutic in itself and really essentially helping them with their transition, and start working
Yeah.
out some of their stuff. So that's kind of cool,
Absolutely. And yeah, it could be as, as simple as a, professional like team building kind of outing, which I mean could be done doing anything. You can go play paintball and figure out like, team building. And then it could also be as far as like, applicable skills. If we're working with, a military unit or a tactical team of some sort that wants these skills to be able to assess and move over technical terrain. We have that kind of training as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's really awesome. Cool. Right. What else? What did we miss? Did we miss anything?
I did want to talk about, like earlier on when Luke and I started climbing, I mentioned there's a lot of YouTube education, a lot of reading books, a lot of trial and error. We did have a couple accidents. Easily we were able to walk away. So that's always a plus. But with rock climbing, the entry into the sport can be quite expensive depending on how you approach it. You can go to a gym and learn. Now I feel like all gyms offer some gym to crag training, which is really cool. That wasn't really around when we were starting up.
No, not really. I mean, the way to get formal training, the best way to get formal training in rock climbing is to hire a guide or to go on a guided expedition. And I think like what Dana was saying is like having accidents and things like that. I really feel like your first 2 years of climbing are like the most dangerous years of your life.
Yeah.
you know just enough to like get yourself out there, but not quite enough to get yourself back out.
You know what that's like? Wrong. That's like when we go overseas, right? And you go to England or Japan or somewhere when they drive on the opposite side of the road. We were like told the same thing, like, you're going to be great your first 6 months, and then you're going to be dangerous the next 6 months because you just get comfortable. And I will be damned if that didn't happen to me. And I'm driving one day, and I did not realize it was kind of wintry in England. And I'm looking, snow's kind of falling. I'm like, who's on the wrong side of the road? And the other side of me is like, odds are you, idiot, like that. And sure enough, it was me. Like, and nothing happened, thank goodness. But yeah, I mean,
totally. Like I've a lot of my friends in climbing, and even some clients that we've had. It's always like, the second year of their climbing journey is always just like everything's going super smooth. They're very bold and going out and doing all these cool things, and they have a real close call. And then
then the fear comes after that of just being like, oh, I've been doing this and not really knowing what I'm doing for a long time, for like the first year.
So keeping it free was also super intentional too. You know, when we first started, we're like, you know, should we do this as a guiding company? Should we run this as a nonprofit? And, you know, with meaning, we wanted to keep it as a nonprofit because that entry can be really expensive. And, you know, just to have the skills and mentorship even through our guides is really supportive for someone to come in and even just try out the sport. You know, like it might not work for you, you might not love climbing, but you can come and try it out for free and see if it transitions for you, you know, and see how it goes from there.
Well, and on top of that too, some people just love to be outdoors and around stuff, and maybe more like support, you know what I mean? Maybe they will provide the snacks and hang out and take pictures and just enjoy nature, you know. Like I always tell people, like, think out of the box. Like if you like being there, you don't necessarily want to do the rock climbing. Do you like taking the pictures? Do you like soaking up the sun? Do you like to learn how to belay? You know, I mean, that I have enough knowledge of rock climbing to be absolutely dangerous. So and so I did, you know, I was they say I learned how to belay, and I said I learned how to become a sandbag, because I was like, they'd come down and I'd shoot up because I never weighed enough. So it was just, but it was fun. I actually liked it, you know. But, you know, if you don't like to do the actual rock climbing, there's other ways that you can be part of that. If you like, if your partner loves it and you're like, yeah, the climbing's not my thing, but I could do this, or just I'll take pictures and and I say this as somebody that like runs a nonprofit. I tell people all the time, like, giving time, one, and you guys, I know you'll agree, we are so appreciative that anybody that wants to do anything, we're like, yes, whatever that is, right? And so if you're somebody that's like, not my jam, it's their jam, but I do like to take pictures, I'm sure you two would be like, yep, that's great, you know, because we always need content.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that was how Luke and I approached it. You know, when I first started coming out from, you know, Chicago is like, oh my God, this is wild. But how Luke approached the sport and how I approached the sport became so different once we really like turned the gears on. And yeah, I became more of a photographer. I'm like, I really like being on the ropes and taking photos. So if you could just set me up here, get a climbing partner, I'll do that for you.
See, I mean, that's the perfect example right there. You know, you find your place, and it might not be 100%. And somebody else might be like, yeah, I want to go hang upside down, climb around that rock and figure that out. And okay, great. You know, and the other one may not be as into it. You know, my husband for years was trying to get me to do the AT. And I had a problematic hip. I've worked out all my life, but I had this hip that just keeps going numb. And I finally told him, I'm like, listen, as much as I want to support you and stuff, you really want me on the trail and then find out that my hip is going numb or I can't keep up, and then we have to take you off the trail who's like dying to do it. I'm like, is that really going to work for you? Of course, he looked at me like, I don't think of it that way, right? And so I'm all like, hey, El Camino, we're good. I'll go do that. But AT, probably not happening. So I just encourage people to be creative with that thought process.
One other thing I wanted to add to, you know, this aspect of the program is we have climbers who, you know, came out. We've been in operation for 6 years now. We have climbers who came out 6 years ago and then who, you know, maybe left for a year and like come back now. We just had a couple people sign up that we haven't seen in like 2-3 years, right? So it's just, there's no obligation to keep coming. There's no like contract, like you have to come out 10 times, you have to come out 5 times. It's just like whenever you can fit us into your schedule, it's here for you. And we put our, you know, clinics out a month in advance. So it's just like whatever works for you. Come back, you know, see the people you haven't seen in a bit, or you know, first time out, meet some new climbers.
Yeah, it's been a great like community building kind of thing. And part of the hard part of climbing is to find a partner. Like finding a partner that is excited about what kind of climbing you're excited about, wanting to go do those things together. And we've built tons of like solid climbing partnerships through Crux.
Mm-hmm.
It's been great to like even go out and see some people that I used to climb with, like, you know, used to be clients 4 or 5 years ago, and they've partnered up and they're going and doing like big things all over. It's
How
really
many
fun to
climbing
see.
marriages have come out of this?
Actually, Luke did a private that ended in a proposal.
Right. Yeah. I got hired on to take, at the time, it was like a guy and his girlfriend up a multi-pitch climb in Joshua Tree.
They're both veterans too.
He proposed to her at the top. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think Luke, I think you guys need to go get your license to get people married, because that you do this long enough, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean,
awesome.
that's potentially would be
like, wait a minute, that's an idea.
Yeah, your next shirt.
I mean, they can hire me to get like the priest and all those people up there. And, anyone who wants to attend the wedding has to hire a guy to get up there.
I'm laughing because if my cousin hears this, she'd be like, damn, I would have done that. Her and her husband were very active in rock climbing and all that. She'd be like, I would have done that.
Totally. We got engaged on the top of Devil's Tower.
Oh, cool.
In Wyoming, yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. How neat is that?
Scary getting down though.
Yeah. Yeah, you can only, because like you get to the top, your climb's only kind of half done. You still have to get down, and it's technical to getting down. So
big moment, and now you got to.
You're up there and you're all excited. Like, okay, now put your head back on because we have to get down.
Oh my God. I've never done like an outdoor rock climb. I've done indoor, but in hiking I did in Tucson. So the northern mountains, Mount Lemmon, the southern, I think it's Mount Wright or Mount Wrightston, south of Tucson. And I hiked Mount Wrightston, and and we were the youngest hiking up there. So we went up, and the up for me was very easy because I'm so short to the ground. So it's easier for me to go up. I had strong legs. And the coming down was like a freaking nightmare. And I like coming down. And by the time we got to the bottom of it, we're in snow and everything else. My toenails all fell off. It was just like that jam in. And we were like tired of waiting for everybody else was just like really creeping down. And so we're like, yeah, we got this. And we literally just motored down that. I mean, we were like 25, and we like motored down this thing. Oh, my feet, like at the end of it was so bad.
Yeah, like almost every time we have like a long semi-technical descent, and like your steamers feel like they're gonna shear off your legs.
Yeah.
Somehow, like the next day you forget about it. You're just such an awesome climb, and then like during the actual descent, you're like, this sucks. I don't ever want to do this again. But then your brain just blocks all that out because you're just thinking of how fun and how cool the climb was.
Yeah, that's scientifically proven, because that's why they said if women actually felt pain during childbirth, there would only be one child per family. They said It's equal. Science says it's equal to breaking over 200 bones. And I was like, yeah, we're blocking some pain then, definitely, because I wouldn't have been going back twice.
Yeah, you guys can have that one.
So, there's science behind some of that. But yeah, there's like that euphoria. Again, it's like that a little bit of the adrenaline, right? And you're in the hard parts, and then empowering, like, damn, I conquered that. I'm a badass, like you did it, so my husband and I were having this conversation the other day, and we've both taught in different capacities. We've both taught college, and now my husband now teaches college, but he also is a substitute for pre-K to 5th grade. And he loves it. He absolutely loves this, right? And so we were having this conversation about teaching, and we both have received the same feedback, which is like, God, nothing seems to bother you. It's like, you guys are so chill. And we both had the same response when they were talking to us, and we're like, nobody's dying. I don't have to like deal with some senior ranking person that's going to make my life like miserable. I don't have to worry about a bomb going off or AAA fire or anything. I'm like, what's so bad? Oh, like, okay, the kid's crying. Like, we can handle that. Or student decided not to do the homework. Hey, that's on you. Like, I got nothing, I go, it's perspective, folks. It's perspective. So
Totally. Yeah.
when they're conquering this, and they're climbing the mountain and they're getting up there and then they get down, they're like, God dang, that sucked. The other half goes, yeah, but you did it and you didn't die. So I guess it's not too bad, is it?
Right.
You reference that with veterans, when you talk about it and how like you're adding experiences, right?
Right. Yeah. I've kind of put it this way a few times that like, your life is a book and you have like this one big, like heavy chapter that is your military experience. If your book ends there and you just live in that chapter for the rest of your life, like nothing's ever going to compare to it. But with climbing and doing things, going on adventures, like you're adding all these smaller chapters into your book. If you end up having this massive book that's, that military service is your main big heavy chapter. But if you have another 30 chapters on there, it doesn't seem so big anymore.
That's a phenomenal analogy. And on top of that, one of the biggest problems some people have when they leave the military is how much of the military took up their identity, right? And this isn't a jab on people at all. But for some people, it took up all their identity or a majority of their identity. For other people, it was more like a chapter, right? And I noticed, just observation wise, again, it's not judgment, it's just observation, that the bigger that identity was for that person, it seems like the more difficult the transition ends up being, in the sense of like finding the new identity, right? Finding the new value, the new purpose.
Yeah, if the transition even happens. Like I'll take a
Good
jab
point.
at some people. Some people don't actually make that transition. They just stay in their like military mindset forever. And
yes.
I think that that's part of our problem, is that we actually have to transition. We can't just hang our hat on our like, varsity football team back in high school.
Right, like varsity blues.
Yeah, right. You have to move past it. And like, there's a lot to be said about that, and the idea that like you keep that identity and you kind of like you hold yourself to kind of demand that respect. You're only going to be let down.
Yes.
Consistently.
Yes.
It's better to just like move on. The world doesn't really owe you shit. Like, yes, thank you for your service, but like it's time to keep going.
Yeah, honor it. You should always, you should honor your time. And I mean, I always have, very proud of my military service. My husband's proud of his service. Friends, same thing. But the ones that do like hold on tight and that's the end of it, it's a big difference. And where we have managed expectations, we know our civilian counterparts don't fully understand. You weren't in our shoes, and that's okay. That's what we did, why we did. So you don't have to, it's done. But there's a difference between honoring it and moving on and making that just another, making it another chapter, and that is your book. And so that's what I feel like when these 44,000 plus nonprofits exist, we are all saying the same thing: honor your time, but here are some ways you can move on and find a different adventure, new value, new purpose, new empowerment, whatever that may be, that helps you build a new identity,
Absolutely. And I think there's a fine line that a lot of these nonprofits have to play with. We want to be, inclusive to veterans and bringing them in, but we don't want to isolate the community. Right? So you don't want it to be just like, it's just us and we talk shop and nobody else understands it. It's more about like, how can we integrate? And I think climbing, the community of climbing, like as a whole, not just the veteran climbing community, is a great mechanism for actually like building identity and pushing out into the world as something besides just your military service.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, I remember, and what I find interesting, so I said I run a nonprofit, and I am very clear to people that we are irreligious, apolitical, right? Because of this right here. We're all inclusive. We are bringing you all in, right? And because veterans, there's an assumption with the veterans that we are all certain ways, you know, and that's not necessarily true. Like everybody believes in God. No, believe it or not, there's people that are struggling with the religious aspect or God or whatever after what they saw, or everybody owns a gun. Well, no, that believe it or not, there are veterans that had such a horrible experience they don't want to have guns anymore, you know, like we have all kinds. And I saw this happen. There was a event that I was at, and it was a fitness event, and then somebody says in the group, it was the end of the thing, hey, I think we should turn around and now we should just say the Pledge of Allegiance. And I looked around, I was very curious to see their response, and they were like, and so again, the assumption is like, oh, every veteran be like, yeah, get up and do that. And it didn't feel right to people. And they said after, like, why did we do that? What was that about? It had nothing to do with them not honoring their country and not believing in what they did and not being proud to wear the uniform. There were people that are trying to find new value and purpose and going back to the old ways in the military. And I say the structure of the military, let me put it that way, didn't feel right to them because they're trying to build a new chapter, you know.
Right.
They say Pledge Allegiance like anybody else, they baseball game, whatever they're at, you know, everybody does that with honor. It was just kind of unexpected, sudden, and they felt like it was like more military, and they didn't like the feel because they're trying to transition, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's understandable.
yeah, it was interesting. So all right, any last on this thoughts? This is great. I mean, I think this is awesome. I hope this goes far and wide, and people call out of curiosity and learn more about what you're doing. And I hope you can expand it. You know, I mean, there's so many places to rock climb, and this is real life. It's okay. We have babies. It's all good.
Sonic. Any last thoughts? I mean, just come and try us out, you know, like it's free. We offer 4 clinics a month. Come if you don't like rock climbing, find another organization that's offering something else for you. If this might be a little distracting. But yeah, that's my take. I'm grateful for all the people. What's their name? 1 second, Donna. I'm grateful for our board of directors and all the volunteers that, you know, have supported Crux the last 6 years.
But do we need to do another interview over there?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, our alarm is ringing.
Like we're done, Mom, Dad. It's time to go on.
Yeah.
You do another closing statement.
Okay. I'm not sure.
It's real life.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say I'm very grateful for, you know, our board of directors and all the volunteers who have supported, you know, Crux over the last 6 years. All of the climbers that continue to come and try us out and have stayed with us and built community through Crux. It's been great. It's been a really cool experience.
Yeah, I love what you guys are doing. I think this is awesome. So, all right, we'll wrap this up. So for the audience, you know, if you are intrigued about rock climbing, you're a veteran, you want to learn more, you need to reach out to Crux Wilderness. If you are a person that wants to learn how to rock climb, you actually can go hire them for private lessons, and you can go to Crux. And if you're corporate and you want to do some team building and think this would be a really interesting way to do some team building, you can also call Crux. And not only are you doing great things for your team and getting them out in nature and learning some team building, but you're also actually supporting their nonprofit, and you're helping other veterans learn this great skill that honestly at the end of the day is going to help them transition. So we're going to wrap it up for this week. And from all of us here at Beyond the Frontline and our parent podcast, we are Coming Home Well, which is our parent podcast. We are super grateful for all the support you guys give. Keep sharing this out to everybody. We want this information to get to the veterans and the first responders, because we really do want both sides understanding what's out there for them and building that community. So from all of us here Beyond the Frontline, and like I said, the parent podcast Coming Home Well, we hope you have an awesome week.
Thanks for listening to Beyond the Frontline, a podcast of Coming Home Well. Join us every other Wednesday. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. Thanks again. And until all are home and all are well.